Okay, give me a thumbs up if you're seeing my Raving Referrals Revolution slide. Okay, you seeing that one? Okay, so welcome to the Referral Revolution. What I mean by that is it's been a very interesting few years. I'm very surprised to see when I ask audiences or groups how much of their business is referrals, what percent comes from referrals. If I were to go in and ask you, this is a good poll question. I'm not going to do a poll, but I'll just ask you to put in chat. How many referrals would you say come out of your database every year? How many referrals do you close in your business every year? Let's talk about that for a minute. And whether or not your business, you would consider your business mainly referral-based business. How many businesses, how many deals, 48% of our business is referrals. I like that. Half of my business comes from referrals. Give me a number. Like, what's that number look like? Is it 5? Is it 10? Is it 12? Because I'm going to give you some stats that are kind of interesting. I was at a national convention the other day, and I asked the question, how many of you have a strong referral business? A lot of hands went up. And I called on a few people in the audience. One of the persons said, I did 12 deals last year out of my referral business. I said, 12. I said, okay, that's interesting. How many people are in your database? So out of curiosity, so Mark, thanks for going in and putting your numbers in there. 40 to 50 deals depending on the year. That's a great referral business. How many people are in your database? Like, how big is your database? Database, 20,000, just over 1,000. Rhonda says 300. Okay. So here's what we know from a variety of different sources, but on average, between 8 and 10% of your database moves every year. So what do you think about that? So Mark, if you have 1,000 people in your database, 100 transactions should come out of your database. If you have 20,000, Francisco, what's your number? That should be like 2,000 people should come out of your database. The numbers are astronomical. What I think is really interesting is that people think they have a great referral business because they sell 14 referrals, five referral checks last year. I think that's great, Jenny. But when you look at how many people in your database, like whatever you're doing to generate referrals is probably not really working as well as you think it is. If you think about, I've got, how big was your database, Jenny? What was your number? Did you type it in? 500. Okay, so 50. So 50 referrals is what you should have closed out of your database last year, right? And so it's so funny because there's so many programs out there that teach referrals, and I think that what worked 5 years ago from a referral basis is not what works today. I think that staying at the front of the mind of the consumer with a jar of jam is a nice way to stay in front, but it doesn't position you as an expert. And people are looking for expertise today, especially in all the disruption and uncertainty in the marketplace. And so how we communicate to our database needs to be more intentional. And I'm going to tell you that I'm going to share a system with you called 8651, and I'm going to share with you some other things from the book, Raving Referrals, that we just launched. And in that book, we talk about the 7 laws of raving referrals and how to really create a massive referral database. My number is 86. If you're closing less than 86 transactions a year out of your database, I'm going to make a really strong suggestion. Whatever you're doing, copy my system, because we know that you can close that many deals out of your database by focusing on those things. And so let's jump into it. Here's what we know about referrals. We know that people are 400% more likely to buy from you when they're referred. So we spend a lot of time buying leads and going after strangers, but like people that are referred, Mark will tell you this, closing 50 deals, like they don't shop you, they don't beat you up on commissions, they're easy to do business with because you come so highly recommended. 90% of people trust recommendations they get from people that they know, and referred clients are 16% more profitable. So you earn more money on them, they like you, they're less drama and headache, and we prefer them. And so why don't we focus more of our business on that specific thing? So in the new book, by the way, I don't know how many of you got the book yet, but the book came out last week. It's Raving Referrals for Real Estate. It's my first book, became a bestseller in the first couple of hours. And we finally wrote a book. I've had all this pressure to write a book for the last 20 years, and I haven't done it. So I finally did it. So I want you to know it's full of a lot of great strategies and techniques and processes. And you can go on Amazon and get it. It's half price for like another couple of weeks because we want to hit bestseller list, and then it goes back up. So jump on Amazon and get it and write us a review, and I'd appreciate it. Okay, so let's talk about, in the book, we talk about the 7 laws of raving referrals, and I'm going to give those to you right now. And so the 7 laws begin with this. Number 1, every meaningful relationship, every relationship that you have or would like is built on trust. And so if we understand that trust is the nucleus of every relationship, how do we do it? And so I like to share the research wheel of building relationships of trust. And it starts by really getting to know people. When you have an opportunity to meet somebody for the first time, are you going on and doing your research? Do you look them up on social media? Are you connecting with them on LinkedIn? Do you follow and look at all the things they post? We have new AI tools now that we can put in anybody's name. It'll tell us everything you want to know about them, including what their core values are. It gives it so much detail about the individual. Anything they've ever posted, it'll tell us what their DISC profile is, even if they haven't done one, just based on how they communicate and what they do. We do research. And when we talk to someone, we come from a place of knowledge. And the other thing, when you have knowledge about somebody, it gives us the ability to ask questions that allow us to build common friends or common relationships or common interests. And so if we're talking to someone that I know they like boats, that's a really easy thing for me to get into with them because I love boats. If we get into children or dealing with young adults or dealing with grandchildren, whatever those things are that you're passionate about, mountain biking, pickleball, whatever that is for you, we can find common ground. And then the next thing is in that initial contact, people decide in the first couple of seconds if they like you or not. They look at you, the way you ask questions, the way you're distracted. Are you on your phone? Are you engaged in eye-to-eye contact? Makes a big difference. And then we added into the middle of building relationships, SRO. And SRO stands for serve regardless of opportunity. And that is that when you go into a relationship, if you go into the relationship with the attitude of, hey, whether we do business or not, I don't care. What I want to do is I want to make sure I help you. So whatever situation you're in or whatever I can do to serve you or to help you, that's what my focus is. I found that if we serve regardless of opportunity, the business takes care of itself. So when you're building relationships, if you go into the relationship, I wonder what I can get from them. They feel it. They sense it. Yeah. Some people call it commission breath. I just want to say, let's go into relationships with no agenda. Let's genuinely want to connect with people. And then the way we message them, when we get face-to-face, whether they buy or not, we put them on the appropriate A, B, or C follow-up plan. And then we either close them and then onboard them as a buyer or seller. And if they don't become a client, we follow up forever once it's closed and it circles out again, we stay in touch. In the center of that is called BRT. That's building relationships with trust. Don't ever forget that the most valuable asset you have in your business are the relationships that you have. When I started Workman Success 10 years ago, my daughter and I were thinking about, okay, what are our assets? And we had stuff, content, programs, but what our real assets were is I believe that I have an American Express black card in relationship capital. And we were able to plug into the relationships that we had built, the people we had served over the years and say, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's what I need help with. And we had people come out of the woodwork that helped us grow the business. Relationship capital is your most valuable asset. So number 2 is I talked a little bit about this is the more you give, the more you receive. Zig Ziglar says the more you help everybody get what they want, the more you get what you want in your life. I believe that to be true. We know that as you give and you share, more comes your way. We used to say serve before opportunity, SBO, like a student body officer. I actually have a slide with student body officers on it. But during COVID, we changed it to serve regardless of opportunity. So I'm not going to serve you before the opportunity. I'm going to serve you regardless of whether or not there's an opportunity. And I'm going to share with you a couple of things for just a minute that I think are really interesting. One is the way that we talk to clients, the way that we communicate with them does a couple of things. Number 1, it either serves them or doesn't. And then number 2 is it positions you as an expert in the real estate because you're giving them something of value they wouldn't get anywhere else. So let me give you an example of that. So we do modules for our coaching clients called shift modules. And there's, I think, 18 or 19 shift modules. We're launching another one this week. And these shift modules are where we take threats in the marketplace. These are things that threaten the consumer, that cause the consumer to pull back and pause. And then I love threats. Threats to me are nothing more than the ability to market different and to separate yourself from other agents. And so when we look at threats, we provide tools and systems and messaging to the consumer that help them move forward regardless of what the threat is. So this is one of our first ones and one of our most valuable ones. This one's called the River of Real Estate. And the way that the River of Real Estate works is you basically put in there, it's a story that you should read out loud with your team. And as you read it out loud with your team, you talk about why people buy and sell. And you come to the conclusion that people don't buy or sell because of their realtor. They buy or sell houses because of life events that occur. And that regardless of what's going on in the marketplace, regardless of the tariffs, regardless of uncertainty in the stock market, regardless of interest rates, those life events that happen in people's lives continue to occur. People get married, they get divorced, they get relocated, they get jobs, they lose jobs, they upsize, they downsize, and that's called the River of Real Estate. And we have data that you can look at, and we give you a link to where the data is, where you can calculate the River of Real Estate and figure out how many potential people are going to buy or sell in your community. And so when we share this with our client, we say, the river of real estate continues to flow. Would you be interested in knowing how many people are going to buy or sell houses in our community? Let me know. And we share with them that data. It also gets people that are thinking, can't decide whether or not they should sell. Well, I don't know if I should sell because rates are high. Can I get top dollar? My answer is, well, the river of real estate continues to flow. Let me show you how many people are in the marketplace. And then we teach them that it's a price war and a beauty contest, and you have to win both. And so we focus on activities and messaging that elevate the industry, that address threats. People are feeling frustrated or insecure. They can't put their house on the market, and then give them an opportunity to move forward. And oftentimes with that comes like other tools or resources that give them the ability to move forward. This is another one, and this isn't a serve regardless of opportunity. This one's called the Verified Contingency Sell Program. For those of you that want to list property or that work with buyers and want to give more value in getting your buyer agreement signed, this verified contingency sell system is game changing. And I'm going to give these to everybody that's on the call if you don't have access to them. The way the verified contingency sell system works is first you read the story, and then you realize there's a story of an agent who's got a house on the market. A buyer comes in with an offer, and we're trying to consult with the seller on whether or not they should move forward. Well, what we say is, oh, have you heard about my verified contingency sell program? It's something we provide all of our sellers. It's basically a checklist of things that we do with an offer that comes in that's contingent to verify whether or not it has a high likelihood of being able to sell. So before we put your house on the market as sold with the 72-hour clause, we go through and we run the property and the agent and the process through our verified contingency sell program. There's a checklist for the seller that we go through. Now, the other one's really cool because as a buyer's agent, if I want my buyer's contract to get accepted and I want them to accept my contingency, then I make the offer with a verified contingency sell system that puts the seller and gives confidence that my offer is strong and that we have a property that's going to sell quickly. And so I give that to you just as a way to differentiate yourself. You've got to be different. We are no longer in a fog and mirror market, folks. We are in a skills-based market. And you have to have the skills to get your people off the sideline and engaged. Otherwise, they get stuck and they don't move forward. And if you don't have the right messaging and the right communication, it doesn't work. This is another one that I think is phenomenal. This is our stop, drop, and save system. And I'm going to give all three of these to you. The stop, drop, and save system basically talks about different ways of getting into a home at today's interest rates, but having to qualify, being able to qualify at a lower rate or have a lower payment. And so we can do a 2-1 buy down, we can do a 3-2-1 buy down, and basically it comes in, put your purchase price in, your down payment, what the monthly payment's going to be, and then how that would change if we did different programs, year 1 and year 2, and what the total savings is. And so what happens with interest rates is we know that appreciation continues to go up. And so I say that we marry the house, but we date the rate. And so we get the rate for what works for us today. And if we do a 2-1 buy down, that's totally fine because it buys the rate down and gets us into house for less. Sellers are willing to pay concessions and to pay points and to do things to help us get into homes because they want their house to sell. And why do they want their house to sell? Because of the river. The river of real estate continued to flow, and they're selling their home because they want to move, not because of their realtor. When you continue as real estate agents to think you're the most important part of the transaction, that's when your business will stall. When you put everything on what's the best for the client and you make sure you give them everything they need to succeed, that's when your business will thrive. Let me give you here's a download. Everybody grab this real quick. This is a download. I'll give you these three. I'll give it to you again at the end of the webinar today. I'll just give this as a gift to everybody so you can go in and get those 3 shift modules and use those. All right, and I'm going to give you the next thing. They'll put it in the chat box as well. Okay, so next up is referral law number 3 is that relationships trigger transactions. Relationships trigger transactions. And we talk about how relationships trigger the transactions. What I'm going to tell you is that, I don't know, has anybody ever read the book, Tom Hopkins, How to Master the Art of Selling? That was one of my first early on books. Mark, have you read that one? How to Master the Art of Selling by Tom Hopkins? Probably the sales Bible. Dude, it's like, I read it, I don't know, it must have been just after I got out of high school and I was selling hot tubs at the fair and I was trying to figure out how to move people forward. They don't go to the fair to buy a hot tub. And I opened it up and I learned there was a couple of things. One of them, it looked like a baseball, that 2 half circles with 2 dots in the middle. And I realized it wasn't a baseball, it was 2 bellies. And it said STP, see 20 people belly to belly. The art of relationships is getting face-to-face with more people. I believe that most of you, when you get face-to-face with people, have a higher likelihood of converting them into a client than when you're on the phone or doing text messaging or doing email. And so if you can get out and see people face-to-face or belly to belly, you're going to have a much greater impact on those relationships. We developed the program Top 50 to specifically design a program that will close 86 transactions a year, working with 50 people 1 hour a day. Now, in this program, in this Top 50, when we wrote this book on Raving Referrals, there's story after story of agents who are hitting these numbers and bigger. What's unique about the program is it's a system. You've heard me say that anything you do 3 times, we create a system for it. I'm a big believer in systems for everything, systems and assistance. If you don't have those 2 things, then you're probably playing catch up all the time. Here's the system for the Top 50. Let me describe it to you. You make a list of the 50 people that are most likely to give you 1 referral a year. That's it. That's the criteria. And then we're going to put them into a tracker. This is what the Top 50 tracker looks like. We're going to make a list of them. We're going to put their contact information. We're going to put their all of the monthly different touches that we could do. And you're going to have 1 personal touch with all 50 of them every single month. And you're going to activate the list. And what I mean by activate that, if I were to go in, Ron, if I were to go into your database of 10,000 or 20,000 or whatever your number is, and I started calling people randomly, and I asked them, do they know that you're counting on them for at least 1 referral a year? Do most of the people in your database know you're counting on it? Are they activated? Or do you just do lots of touches and hope they know you'd like the business? It's a good question, isn't it? You think about that, most people don't know that we want referrals and we haven't asked them for them. The art of the ask is a brilliant thing we'll talk about later in the webinar today. But the Top 50 program is we start with 50 people. You have 1 personal touch with all 50 of them, and you let them know you're on my list. What does that mean? You're one of my 50 people that I count on this year for at least 1 referral. Can I count on you for 1? They know. And here's what I've learned. You'll get 50 people that actually will give you 1, but you'll have a whole bunch of those people, maybe 20 or 30 of them that give you 2, and then you'll have another 10 or 15 that give you 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, and then you got your Raving Referrals that give you a ton. The idea is that we activate the list and we do it religiously, and we have a methodical process on following up and talking to our top 50. And it's okay to call your top 50 and say, hey, Mark, it's Verl. I'm just checking in and see who you got. Like, I love that call. Who you got? Like, it doesn't have to be any deeper than that. You know, I'm going to call you once a month and say, who do you got? We're going to go out as friends and we're going to play golf together. And we're going to go out and do business and have lunch or whatever we do to have you be in my top 50. But once a month, I'm going to call you and say, who do you got? And just give me a name of someone that you give them my name or number too, so I can follow up with them and give them the same kind of service. You can say, I don't have anybody this month. I'll say, great, no problem. How are the kids? Like, it's not that big of a deal. But if you don't ask them and they don't know you're expecting it, you don't get them. And that's why we activate the database. And that's why we get so many referrals. The next thing I'm going to have you do, and this is new, is we're going to create a new program of trusted advisors. And so how many of you are frustrated or have even thought about all the referrals you give out in your business to plumbers, electricians, painters, roofers, solar that support home ownership, and you give them all this business, but you've never received a referral back? Think about that. Is it possible to create a list of the top 50 referral partners or trusted advisors to support home ownership and tell them they're on your top 50 list, and all that you ask is, well, give me one back a year? So now I've got a top 50 list of clients, past clients or database or sphere of influence, and I've got another top 50 list of my referral partners, people that I give business to and I expect to get business back from. We'll talk about, if I have time to talk about it today, HOA.com is coming out with a whole new program where everybody puts their database into an HOA as a trusted partner list, and then we cross market to each other databases to put on community events around homeowners associations. And the whole focus is to activate the database and to elevate the view in the eyes of the consumer, the value of a HOA. Nobody likes their HOA. And so the whole idea is to build HOA as a place to build community where our trusted partners get together and facilitate that. It's going to be a massive initiative. We're hiring 500 trainers around the country to teach the program to real estate agents and to professionals. Okay, so we go into the trusted referral partners. I'll give you one more. And then so if you look at the bottom of the tab, you have the top 50 businesses. There's another one that says the top 50 agents. What if you had 50 agents and you did your research to find out what markets do most people move to our market from, or that move out of our market to? For example, I coach a guy in California that they've had such a mass exodus of people in California moving to Texas that he's got a handful of Texas agents that he refers that business to. And so when he talks to his clients, he's saying, where are you going and what's causing you to go there? And how could I facilitate making sure you have a top client there? So if you strategically create a list of the top 50 agents outside your market that are most likely to send or receive referrals from your market, and you develop those relationships with them, now you've got a third top 50 list. What if you had 3 top 50 lists that all produced 50% of my promise, which is 86 deals? 3 lists that do 43 deals. How many would that be game changing for anybody? It's 100 deals, 120 transactions. And what is the cost of working your referral business? We spend thousands of dollars trying to generate strangers. And then we have all the brain damage in following up with them and wondering why they don't respond. How about we focus on the business we can control, and then we build our top 50 list and we actually do it? This is something that's such a big deal. So here's the questions that I would ask. Number one is, do you even have a list of top 50? Do you have a top 50 list that is designated as, these are the people that know that I'm counting on them for one? And do they know it? And number two, do they know it? Number three, do you contact them with a personal touch, face-to-face, at least once a month? Here's the next question. Am I closing at least 80 deals a year from my top 50? If the answer is no, in the nicest possible way, I'd like to say, whatever you're doing, maybe you should do this instead. Maybe instead of doing what you're currently doing, we put it on steroids and we follow a system that we know is proven. My friends, greatness is predictable, and so is average. And if I look at your database and I can see what you're doing with your database, I can tell you why you're getting the result that you're getting. And so how about we stop doing it? We cannot do the things we did 2 years ago and expect the same result. Everything we do today has to be done with a higher level of professionalism, a higher level of skill, and a higher level of activity if we're going to grow in a market where everybody else is whining and complaining. A couple other questions is, am I receiving referrals that are available from my database, clients, vendors, friends, family, community? And do I follow the 3-2-1-1 system? The 3-2-1-1 system is simply this. Every day I want you to call 3 past clients, update your database, put them in your contact record, prospect until you add 2 new people into your database, learn 1 new thing with your technology, and there's so many things to learn, and give 1 outbound referral. And so every week I want you to give 1 outbound referral. 3-2-1s is daily. The last -1 is a weekly. And so every week I want you to focus on giving 1 outbound referral to somebody in your marketplace, outside of your marketplace, whatever. I want you to focus on giving more referrals. You want to get more referrals, you got to give them. So we work our top 50, we do our 3-2-1s, and then we engage. We engage our open houses on steroids. There's some really important numbers you need to know, and you should write these down. Number one is, for every listing you generate, you should close 1.5 buy-side transactions. If you're not closing 1.5 transactions on every listing, then we're not marketing and doing the things we need to around that listing to generate those leads. Every listing should generate between 6 and 8 leads a month while it's active. Every 25 leads we generate, we add a buyer's agent. There's a formula to how we create leverage in our business. And if you don't follow a formula, you do it on your gut feel. What happens is you get out of balance in your life and the lifestyle that you're trying to lead. So these are just some things I think you should know. Let me share with you Christy's story. Christy, many of you know Christy. Christy went from $250,000 a year in GCI to 3.4 million. First, her goal was $1 million gross, then $1 million net. But this is my favorite Christy story. So Christy's in Houston, Texas, and she's in the Range Rover dealership. And she's sitting there at the closing table, and they bring the general manager over there because she's beating him up on price. And he says, "What do I have to do to get your deal today?" And she says, "Well, you have to give me at least one real estate referral that closes a transaction in the next year." And he was like, "That's it? Done. My father's getting ready to sell a house." Gave her referrals $1 million property from the sales manager, ended up doing 2 more just inside that office, and did, I don't know what her total number was. Let me see if I have it in my notes here. She did sales manager for 1.5 million. She did another 475. She did another 379. She turned a $500 deposit in, down on a car on a lease into, I don't know, I'm going to say she probably did $45,000 or $50,000 in that first year in commissions. What's really cool about that, she says that they continue to refer business to her, and it's almost like a joke who can give Christy more deals because they want to sell her another Range Rover. She says, "I've more than paid for my entire Range Rover just on referrals," simply because what? What did she do? Yeah, she asked. You got to ask. "What can I do to get you to buy this today?" "Just give me a referral." Done. Like whatever discount they would have given her on the car pales in comparison to a real estate referral that closes a transaction. And so that's kind of a fun story. Christy's kind of a funny one. She has a really cool building out in Pearland, Texas that she bought. And in the building, it's got an open garage where she can do parties and neighborhood events and a pavilion. And she had somebody come and ask her if they could rent it out for a wedding anniversary, for their 50th wedding anniversary for their parents. And she says, "I really don't rent it out." And they said, "Oh, that's too bad." She says, "But I'll tell you what, if you give me 2 referrals by the end of the year, I'll let you use it." Yeah, $18,000 in commission because she let somebody use her garage and her party place. She couldn't charge $18,000 for that, but the 2 referrals are worth way more than that. That's the key, is she's constantly thinking about, how do I create conversations that open up the door for me to ask for a referral? And that's one of the things that makes Christy such a great producer. I've given you 3-2-1-1s. 3-2-1s, 3 past clients, just give them a call. "How you doing? What's up?" I love that phone call. Like, no agenda. When you call 3 past clients, it's like, "Sup? What are kids up to? How's the house? What's new? How can I help?" 2 new prospect is, I don't care if you work FSBOs, expireds, notices of default. I don't care if you're knocking doors, doing open houses. Whatever you do to add new clients, I want you to add 2 new people to your database here. When you look at your teams, guys, for those of you running teams, we say that every 25 leads, we add a buyer's agent. I want you to know that I don't tell any buyer's agents I'm going to give them leads. It is the job of the buyer's agent to add 2 new leads to the database every day. And when they prospect and they do those activities, they qualify for team-generated leads. So now I'm teaching my people how to prospect. They're learning how to be better at it. They're working their sphere in their top 50, and they're doing a much better job. When we start people in the business, the number one motivator is transactions. People don't get to transactions fast enough. You want to get them transactions fast enough? Work the top 50s and do 3-2-1s. Nick Paynes he's another one that I love when he does webinars for us. Nick Paynes is a coaching client, also a Workman coach, but he had an agent that had a listing that he couldn't close. He couldn't get it under contract. And Nick specializes in this type of property. And so he referred Nick this property. And it turned out that this guy was a big builder and wanted Nick to continue to help him. He's continued to build a relationship with a builder, sold over 20 homes and 2 houses with this referral by being an expert in the marketplace. Having agent referrals that you take good care of and that you make sure that you reciprocate could be big. And it's done over $250,000 in commissions just on that one thing. I'm a big believer in building a referral-based business. When I talked about the referral business, I was at the Rematch convention recently, and I met this guy. I met John for the first time. I never knew John. John lives in Belize and Denver, Colorado, and I love stupid goals. John's goal, he said, was I want to be the #1 Remax agent in the world. No small goal, totally unrealistic with a population of 24,000. But he knew he couldn't get there by doing it the way that everybody else does it. And so he decided that he needed to introduce Belize to people that had money. And so he would bring consumers in and people that have a high net worth, and they would pay $3,000 to spend a day with him and learn Belize. He would take them out on a scuba boat. They'd go fishing. They'd show them all the real estate, do tours, and he would do them in groups of 30 at a time. And then on Monday, they would get 30-minute appointments with him to write offers. And then he would fly in the top agents from around the world and do the same experience with them. And what he realized is these top agents not only referred lots of clients because of the experience he created, but many of them bought property on Belize. And he became, you can see his #1 ranking, the #1 Remax agent in the world. I love the idea of being different and doing things that are different, and then having a goal that is unrealistic and not attainable. I love stupid goals, and he went after the stupid goal and he nailed it. We'll talk more about stupid goals later. Hey, we're doing a listing challenge, and I will tell you that one of my favorite things in the world is I know that when we list more properties, when we legitimately go after listings, that we control the market. When you don't list, you don't control the market. Jenny's on the call. We do a listing challenge. We have a listing challenge that starts April 1st. And I want 100 people in this challenge. If you're not in the challenge, you should be. What we do in the 120-day listing challenge is we track the activities that increase your listing inventory for the spring market. And we've learned that when we set goals and we compete with each other and we gamify it, it engages our people. If you have listing partners or you do listings, I'm going to encourage you to get in a listing. Jenny, are you on the call? Come off mute and just say hi to everybody real quick. I know you're here because we said hello.
Hello.
Jenny, good to see you. It was fun
Hey
playing with your
there.
database earlier. Tell us about your listing challenge and why you did so well. I mean, seriously, kicking butt.
Um, I love the fact that it tracks everything that I'm doing, and I can go back and look at that and see where I need improvement. And it is fun because it is a game and it's a challenge, and I always like to win.
I know I played to win too. So after the challenge ended, did the money stop coming in, or did you continue to earn after the challenge was over?
I continue to earn. One of the biggest things that I took away from this challenge is my conversion ratios from the appointments that I was going on to the actual listings that I was taking. And I have definitely improved upon all of that since the challenge finished.
Yeah, I love that. So you start to get your numbers better, right? I love 53 listing appointments and 4 million in closed volume. And so what would you say to people that haven't ever done the challenge before or that are thinking about it?
You definitely should get on there. It is a learning experience. It's a lot of fun. You get to watch and see where everybody else is and see where you need to improve.
So that's the listing challenge. It's coming up, everybody. Focus on the referral-based business that I'm talking about. Get in the challenge. Anybody think they can blow Jenny away? Let's get serious with it. We have lots of people that love to compete. I also have Priscilla. Priscilla, you on the call? Are you on video? I don't see you on video.
There we go. Sorry, didn't realize I was muted and off camera.
Priscilla, nice to see you. Tell me about your experience with the challenge. What did you do?
It was great. I actually did both challenges. I did the fall one, the beginning one, and then the second one, which really helped. I noticed that the first time, just like Jenny said, I realized my percentages. So I was doing a lot of listing presentations, but the numbers were small. I did notice that the second time what happened, I hadn't gotten better at my presentation yet, but there was an accumulative. Some of the people that I'd met with in the first part of the challenge came back around and ended up listing them. So that's what helped my numbers the second time.
I love that. And how much business did you end up doing during the challenge?
It was fantastic. I'm trying to think what my numbers were. Gosh, I slept since then.
I have them.
I know that, I think I ended up with about 24 listings, something like that, right
Yeah.
around that number.
All right. Is there anybody on this call that could benefit from an extra 20 listings going into the spring selling market? Okay, so let's go for it. Let's go. Let's have some fun. Like whatever your big goals are, let's just go for it. Here's the stats from the last challenge. We did 1,200 listing appointments. 581 new listings came on the market. We had over 800 offers received. We closed 316 listings during the challenge and did 242 million in new listing volume. And this is our people just having fun. And there's fun prizes, and we've got a good challenge around this. There's some additional tools or resources we give you that help you with your listing game. And so I'm just going to encourage everybody to have some fun with that. As I'm talking about raving referrals, the reason we do that is because we want to list more houses. When you list the property, you control the market. And so just go for it. Okay, I'm going to get into number 4, and that is the law number 4 of raving referrals. And this is a big one. And this is that stellar service creates stellar success. And I think that when you go back at the last couple of years in this class action lawsuit, the big disconnect is that agents get more money than they're worth. Like when you sum it all down, the sellers believe that they're overpaying for the services they provide. I believe that excellent agents are worth every penny and could charge more. And that the weak agents who do the minimum level of acceptable performance to get paid at the closing are the reason that there is that big disconnect between value and dollars paid. Think about that. If we provide high-level services, price is not an issue. I like to say that in the absence of value, price is always the objection. And so if you want to eliminate that, I'm going to encourage you to think about the stellar service. So what does it mean to do 5-on-5? And by the way, Priscilla and Jenny, thank you for sharing with us today your numbers and what you did. I think that was really cool. And so here's the five things. If you want to provide stellar service, number 1, we have to listen intently. We have to listen to understand and not to respond. Oftentimes when we're in conversations with people, our mind is thinking about what we're going to say next instead of focusing on what they're actually saying. That's why we role play and do scripts and dialogues, is so we can listen to understand, not to respond. Number 2, when you survey the client, when the client has a low level of, when they have a bad experience or a less than 5-star service, they'll tell you that my agent didn't communicate. The number 1 issue is lack of communication. Over communicate, and then communicate honestly and often. I love it when someone communicates. So I have a client up in Ontario, in Toronto area, that when she lists a property says, look, your price is really high. I'm going to list it, but I'm not going to call you in 2 weeks when we lower the price. I want you to pre-sign the price reductions every 2 weeks until we get offers on the property. And she says, I'm not going to tell you that your house is going to sell for more just so I can get the listing. I'd rather not take the listing and let somebody else fail because they overpriced it than tell you honestly what it's going to take to sell the property. And then so we use that strategy. The next is to meet and exceed expectations. If you're not communicating honestly and you don't listen, you don't have the ability to meet and exceed expectations. What I mean by exceeding expectations is the minimum doesn't work anymore. You've got to, Cleve Gaddis, one of our master coaches and also runs a really successful team out of Atlanta, Georgia. He says, I want my buyer or my seller to be the best informed in every transaction, because whoever the best informed in usually wins. So we have to give them all the information they need to put them in a position to make the best decision for their family. That's it. And that happens when we exceed expectations. Be on time and on budget. Do what you say you're going to do for the cost you're going to say it's going to cost. And then integrity in everything. Like, and I've seen, one of the things I've noticed about high performers is that they will often give everything away to make sure that their integrity is not put into question. They will just do the right thing to make sure the deal closes because their reputation capital is so important. And I'm not saying to give stuff away. I'm just saying that integrity is not a core value that you put on your chart. It's who you are in everything. And either you have it or you don't. And I'm going to encourage you to build a culture with your team that has a high level of integrity. Okay, the next is, you heard me say this earlier. I said, everything we do 3 times, I want you to create a system for it. I want you to look at right now in our skills-based market, the market that we're in today, our systems and our processes need to be refined. They need to be different and they need to be better. I like to say at every level of business that I've grown from, I've had to break all my systems and then put new systems in place that help me go to the next level. Is it time in your business for you to be thinking about what's working and what's not working and reevaluate our systems and technology? We're doing so much with AI technology right now that it's making us so much more efficient. And there's so many things you can do with it. I'll do another webinar just around AI and how some of our high performing teams are using AI and what we're doing at Workman, because we're deep into it. Repeat and refine your systems. I'm going to also say that we've got to hire and fire to our core values. The core values that you have in your team and in your business are not, they shouldn't be optional. On my desk and on the desk of every one of my employees are the Workman Success core values. Choose to be happy. It's a choice. Like we all have crap. Is anyone that is exempt to crap in their lives? Or do we all have it? Like, we all have crap that goes on. But when we walk through that door, you can choose to be happy. You can choose a culture that brings people up around you, even though we got crap going on. We all have crap, but choose to be happy. Communication, openly and honestly. It's part of the 5-star service we want to provide internally and externally. Having and sharing vision, like being able to share the things that will make us better. Living freely to me means debt-free. It takes on different meanings to our different employees, which I think is fantastic. It's phenomenal. Integrity always, living with passion, showing gratitude, not just saying thanks. How do you show gratitude? One of my employees the other day on our Monday meeting gave the core value of show gratitude, and he passed out thank you cards to everybody and said, take a minute and write someone a thank you card. Whoever you're thinking of in this moment, just write it and then go give it to them. I wrote one to my wife and didn't think about it, took it home the next day and put it under her pillow. Bam! Something I should do more often. She's like, what did you do? She thought I did something that got me in trouble. All right, what did you buy? Did you buy another boat? I'm like, nope, just loving you, honey. And that little thank you card, or that little just saying, hey, you know what? Thanks for being such a great wife and a great mom and a great grandma to our kids, because she is exceptional. I mean, the fact she puts up with me as a serial entrepreneur makes her special, but I don't say it enough. And to sit down and write a note made a big impact. So I love we did that. Another one, put a thank you jar out and had everybody write something they were grateful for and put it in the jar. And then we all went through in the company meeting and read that. Having and showing gratitude are very different. Show it. And then we persist until we succeed. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Your core values matter. We hire to our values and we fire to our values. They're who we are as a company. They're not the list of what we want our clients to think we are. We try and live those values in our businesses and in our lives. Here's a big one. Delighted clients refer delighted clients. Have you ever had someone that you did not want to do business with, and their friends are just like them? Like, decades of research that if you delight your clients and they have a great experience, they refer you more often, they're more loyal, they're more profitable, they're more eager to meet with you. They often are pre-sold on you, and they're just more fun to work with because they come into the relationship knowing you're going to be great. If they're not, like, I don't know, have you ever fired a client? I fired my sister. I'm like, clearly I can't meet your expectations, so I'd rather turn you down than let you down. I love that dialogue. It's my favorite dialogue. All right, delighted clients for delighted clients. So what do you have to do to create delighted clients? Delight is different than satisfied. Satisfied means you met their minimum level of expectation. Delighted means you blew them away. What does that look like? Can you define that? Give me an example in the chat box of something you would do that would blow your client away. How do you create a delighted client versus a satisfied client? And I'm really curious to see what you type here. You know, Christy Buck has an etched sign in wood that she gives to him at the closing that says the Johnson home established February 2025. And this is something they put up in their houses that talks about the new move into the new home. I've seen other people that do a lot of rehabs and a lot of short sells and bank-owned properties. They give them a cleaning bucket with all of the things they need when they move into the home, with all of the supplies that they need to stock a home when they move into it. I've seen other people put on a barbecue or bring pizza to the home during moving day or let them use their moving trucks. There's so many things we can do to delight our clients. And I hope that you'll share with each other. But delighted clients refer to delighted clients. So let's take it up a notch. All right, number 6. The fortune. Okay, here, let's read it. Before I move on, Mark, that was a good one. He said, it often happens when you can show how you protected them from a high-risk situation that could have had legal consequences. That is so true. And I think that's one of the biggest differentiators from a pro versus an amateur, is the ability to recognize and see that if they move down this road, there's going to be legal consequences or financial consequences. When they say, wow, at the end, because you really helped us dodge a bullet, that's when you're doing the right thing for a client. Mark, great. That's a great, it's really looking out for their best interests. It's getting in the boat with them and saying, I'm not gonna let you do this because the consequences are here. It doesn't make sense. The fortune in money in real estate is in the follow-up. You noticed in my core values that I said, there was one of the things I said, as I said, we persist until we succeed. What I mean by that is we follow up until they buy or tell us to die. We follow up until they file a restraining order. We don't put them on a list and hope they call and turn themselves in. We follow up methodically. And that's why we have such high-performing teams, is we teach our teams the ABCs of lead follow-up. I'm going to give it to you right now. An A lead is somebody you have an appointment with. They're ready to buy or sell today. You schedule an appointment. You look at property on Friday and they don't write an offer. You say, let's look next week. They say, okay, well, if I find something, we'll go look. You say, no. Do you want to go the beginning of the week, the end of the week? They say beginning of the week. You say Monday or Tuesday, 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock's great. Pencil it in. Your job is to find them something to look at. We always schedule the next appointment because we want people to keep moving forward in the process. I'm telling you, if you don't schedule the appointment, they move from an A lead to a B lead. Really easy, Mark, when you have your team to say how many A leads you have. They come to the meeting and say, I've got 6. You say, great, show me your calendar. There better be 6 scheduled appointments. Otherwise, they're not A leads. We teach a culture of moving people forward in the process. A B lead, all the B leads get tagged in our database, and I don't care what you use. They get tagged as a B lead. A B lead is 30 to 90 days out. We call them twice a month during the weeks that the 1st falls in and the 15th falls in. We call our B leads twice a month during the 1st and the 15th. It's really easy as a team to say, hey, what week is it today? It's the week of the 15th. We're going to call all of our B leads. What do you say? Calling to make sure I'm not dropping the ball, make sure the property search is right. Are you ready to meet with my lender yet? We want to move them from a B lead to an A lead by setting an appointment. And we practice that script and dialogue. A C lead we call once a month during the week of the 8th. It's a systematic process in follow-up, so nobody falls through the cracks. And we call our C leads during the week of the 8th. And what do you say to a C lead? The same thing you say to a B lead. Just calling to make sure I'm not dropping the ball. You get the properties I'm sending you out, you get a little bit close, you're still looking at July. Great. When you work B leads, by the way, we teach that you have communication that is property specific. Did you see the one that I sent you specifically on such and such? It had 2 or 3 of the things that were really interesting to you. C leads, we do market general information, not property specific, because they're not looking at houses yet. So B leads is property information. C leads is market general information. And we follow the A, B's, and C's. Okay, Brian, I'm going to stay. I'll give you time at the end, and I'll do my best to answer the question. And we'll talk about the overpricing, because more and more properties are staying on the market. I think that some other people have the same question on. So thanks for asking that. We'll get to it. Okay, the next is, really scheduling time to do it right. We work our sphere on the week of the 22nd. So you do your A's as an appointment, the B's are the 1st to 15th, C's the 8th, and then during the week of the 22nd, we focus on our sphere. Do you see, like, how many of you believe that if you put everybody in your database on A, B, or C, or a C, or a sphere, and then you methodically followed up with them and called them when you said you would convert more of the opportunities that exist? I promise you 100% that if you follow the system on lead conversion, you'll convert more leads. But when you do it haphazardly with a good intention of following up, people fall through the cracks because it's not systematic. You don't put it in your calendars and you don't follow up. The next thing is you have to follow up with anybody that gives you a referral. You have to make a warm introduction. You have to give them a testimonial. You have to thank them. And then you have to ask them for a rating or referral. Anyone who gives you a referral, you have to show gratitude. Whether the referral buys or not, we must show gratitude. So are you sending them a movie tickets? Are you giving them a gas card? What do you do? I've got clients that have their own bottle wine labeling process. And when somebody sends them a referral, they send them their own bottle of wine that's labeled. You do something that's valuable to that person, but we give them, and we always show gratitude on referrals. And it's not a thank you text. Hey, thanks for the referral. Nice job. Nuh-uh. You got to blow them away, give them a 5-star experience so they want to give you more referrals, whether they buy or sell or not. Number 7, when it comes to serving clients, everyone wins or no one wins. And I really believe this in my core, is that when we build profitable partnerships with other professionals that serve who you serve and who serve your prospects, it's important to ensure that you want them to win. Like, I have companies all the time, and I want you to know this. We have companies all the time that want to pay Workman to introduce their products or services to our clients. And they'll say, hey, we'll pay you a referral fee. Well, then when I refer the client, you wonder if I'm doing it because I'm getting paid or because it's really the best. And I've decided a long time ago that I would rather have them keep their money and provide a better service to my client than to me take 10 or 20% of it and have them feel like it's like they're getting less because they're taking my clients. I want them to win. And so when I find best of class products or services, we refer them because they're the best, not because they're paying us. When I have a plumber or an electrician or a painter that I refer business to, I give it to them because they're the best, not because I want money from them. What I want them to do is make money so they win. And I want them to serve my clients at a higher level. So I really want you to think about the concept of everyone wins or no one wins. And you're not trying to nickel and dime everybody to the point where they don't have any margin in a transaction because they can't serve your clients well. I would rather charge more and provide a higher level of service. And I'd rather have my vendors charge more and provide a higher level of service than be the cheapest service you can provide and have everybody upset that you referred them. Does that make sense? Okay, so the 4 clear sources of raving referrals, or the people you should be thinking about, are your clients, your social sphere, complementary businesses and professionals, and then your 4 groups of top 50 the 3 groups of top 50 that we talk about. It's time to think differently about the way we do our business. Can I go off the rails for just a minute? I want to talk about something a little bit different. I want to talk about why we do any of this. The reason we do this is because we set goals. How many of you can tell me what your 2025 goal is? How many transactions do you want to close in 2025? Can you guys throw those in chat for me? I don't care what your number is. I need to see a few numbers. Is it 50? Is it 100? Is it 25? Is it 6, 36, 36, 75? Good numbers, 120. Okay, how many of you, when you did your goals, used this process called SMART goals? You did a specific goal that was measurable, that was attainable, that was realistic, and it was time-based. I would like to tell you that starting today, I am never going to teach SMART goals again because I think SMART goals are stupid. Now, if you're not smiling and saying, what crap are you talking about, Verl? I want to ask you this question. Who in your life can you think of that ever accomplished anything amazing by setting an attainable and realistic goal? That is not where greatness happens. Greatness happens by getting uncomfortable. If you take your goal and you double it, and you say, if I got to do whatever my double goal is, you can't do it just by doing a little more of what you've been doing. You have to completely mix it up and do it differently. Nobody told Michael Phelps that it was a realistic goal to make an Olympic team when he was 15 years old. Nobody told him that, by the way, he started swimming competitively at 10 years old. And as he progressed, one of his goals was to make an Olympic team. When he said, I want to win 8 gold medals in the same Olympics, do you think that was realistic? Like, do you think it was like literally possible? Here, let me give you some stats. You're more likely to be struck by lightning twice than to make the US Olympic team at 15. You have a better chance of randomly picking a 4-leaf clover out on your first try than making the Olympics team as a 15-year-old. You're more likely to win the lottery, get hit by a meteor, and find Bigfoot in the same year than you are to win and get on the Olympic team at your 15 years old. Here's one for you, Mark. You have a better chance of getting a hole-in-one on a par 5 with a putter than you do of making the Olympic team when you're 15 years old. You're more likely to sneak into Area 51 and get away with it than making the Olympic dream. So I believe that stupid goals are my new theme for 2025, that they need to be strategic, they need to be transformational, they need to be completely unrealistic. I want them to be so unrealistic that when you say them out loud, people think it's stupid. and I don't care. I want to pronounce them to the world, and I want them to make fun of me because my goals are stupid. I want them to be purpose-driven, a real core motivating value to change the world. And then innovation happens when you have stupid goals. And what dynamic means is that when you get close to accomplishing it, I want to move the needle. I want to raise the goal higher. Dynamic goals. If you're hitting your goals all the time, you're a sandbagger. You're setting attainable, realistic goals. I think the reason people do realistic, attainable goals is because they think that they're losers if they fail to hit their goals. I think the opposite. I want you to be transformational, and I want you to hit those goals. When Michael Phelps got all these goals, winning 8 gold medals in a single Olympics is like, it's like a basketball NBA player hitting 100 points in a game for the entire season. That's how unrealistic it is. It's a soccer player getting a hat trick in 8 consecutive World Cup finals. They only have those every 4 years. You have to be at the top level for 32 years and then hit a hat trick in all of them. A golfer winning 4 majors in the same year 2 times. Like it's unrealistic, unattainable. When Roger Bannister broke the 1-minute mile, I love that he was told the human body is not designed to run a 4-minute mile, and he did it, and then 15 other people did it in the next year because we break molds by doing amazing things. I want everybody to go in and download the systems for the shift modules if you haven't done that yet. And if you want some help and you want to set some unrealistic goals and you want to learn how to figure out how to get to them, schedule a strategy session with one of my business consultants and let us help you. Like, we help a lot of people hit unrealistic goals. Christy's big goal is she wanted to go from 250 to 500,000. I'm like, okay, that's fine the first year, but then we're going to double it, and then we're going to double it again. Let's do crazy things together. Let's have some unrealistic goals. I think that when people ask me, who do we coach? I love John Neighbor. John Neighbor won 4 gold medals and 3 silver medals in swimming. And I asked John Neighbor, I said, John, who do you coach? He says, have you ever seen a puppy with a dog at the park, or a little boy with a Labrador puppy at the park, and that dog is pulling that puppy and you can't even hold on to him? He says, I coach that puppy. If I have to put meat in front of your nose, or if I have to kick you in the pants, or if I have to motivate you, I don't have the energy for it. Well, that's who we are at Workman. We absolutely have the best coaches on the planet, and we have the ability to help you get your unrealistic goals, but you got to stop setting smart goals. You got to stop setting attainable, realistic things. I want to know what your stupid goal is. Like, do you have one? If you have a stupid goal and you want to shout it out, put it in the chat. Tell me what it is. Like, what's your double goal? What's the goal that no one knows you really have that you want to do? I told my DECA Club teacher in high school that I wanted to be a professional speaker and speak with Zig Ziglar. You know what my teacher told me? Son, you need to have more realistic goals. There's no career path for that. In 2000, I spoke 4 times with the great Zig Ziglar. I was next after Zig. Like, tell me it can't be done. I'm going to figure out how to make it happen. This is your moment. Everybody on this call has the power to do something extraordinary, to do something that is far more beyond what they believe is possible. I love that, Art, you're putting your big numbers in there. We also have the ability to play it safe and to be realistic, and I just call BS on that. History isn't made by people who set achievable goals. Let's set some crazy goals, and let's own it, and let's feel it, and let's go get it together. Let's go have a great rest of 2025. Get in the 120-day listing challenge. Build your referral-based business on zero-cost lead generation, and let's have some fun getting our stupid goals together. Now, before all of you leave, I'm going to stop my share just for a moment. Let me see what my next slide is. Oh, yeah. I'm going to stop my share, and I'm just going to answer. We had a couple of questions that came in. Okay, Brian, when we talk about having tough, his question is, having tough but honest conversations when listing their home price at the selling price to sell. Overpricing home has been the only reason my clients have not been happy that come back, because we overpriced property, it didn't sell. I love that. And then they go back to a realtor, even though they wouldn't listen to you. So I'm going to give you a strategy. Let me give you a really quick strategy on overpricing. So in our SLAM program, we teach a concept. You can't really see this, but that's me drawing a clock. I've been doodling the whole time I talk. So when you draw a clock, you draw a 12 at the top, then 3, and then 6, and then a 9. And then you say, look, I don't dictate the price. The buyer dictates the price. The market dictates the price. Based on all the data, I'm going to tell you that it's a price war and a beauty contest, and we have to win both online and offline, and use that dialogue. And then when I say, in this window, if you want your house to sell in the first 3 months, this is your pricing window. If you want to go at the price you're suggesting, it's going to be in the 6 to 9 months. And because it's an unrealistic time frame, I charge a $3,500 retainer for marketing that we use in investing your property. I look at your property as an investment. When I take a property, I do virtual tours, I do Matterport, I do virtual staging, I market like crazy, we do open houses. We have a significant cost. If I make an investment in something, I make that investment with the reasonable expectation there's going to be a return on my investment. If you want to overprice the property, then there's not a reasonable expectation I'm going to get a return. So I just ask you to share that with me. And clients will write the check because they want to test the market. And then at the end, when the property sells, I'll give you back the money you paid towards the marketing because it's just money I spend anyway. And so use the retainer price marketing if they go into the 6 to 12 month, or increase the time of the length of the listing. So if they're marketing and they're putting it in, it's going to take 12 months, write a 12-month contract. It's not cancelable. And then also put time frame or showing triggers. When you have 5 showings and no offers, that's a price move trigger. Every 5 showings and no offers, we put an automatic price move trigger in here. And we pre-sign them. And so we automatically do price reductions. I don't call them price reductions. I call them market corrections. So we have to do a course correction, not discount the price. So I hope that answers your questions on how to do that. When you set expectations that I'll list at the higher price, we'll get it sold, and then it doesn't sell, you under deliver. There's no way for you to over deliver in that scenario. And so be honest with people. If they list with somebody else, what's really frustrating to a lot of agents is when I tell the seller where their house is going to sell, they go with an agent that says it's going to sell for higher, and then it sells for the price I told them to begin with, and you didn't make any money on it. Isn't that frustrating, Diane? Let me tell you why it's frustrating. Because you don't have enough business. When you have a boatload of transactions coming in, when you're doing 80 or 100 or 200 transactions a year, and someone doesn't list with you and you know you're the best for them, here's the dialogue you use. Next, go get another one. But when you don't have a machine that's bringing new business in all the time, when you lose a deal, it's devastating. And so you spend way too much time having stress or anxiety or grief over it. So I'm going to encourage you to build your raving referral business the way that we teach it. Have so much business you can't handle it. Let us help you build your team and not worry about those individual deals that don't want the level of service that you're capable of providing. Like what if you only did business with the puppy on the leash? The people who just want you. I'm only dealing with you, Mark. I only want to deal with your team because I know we're going to have a better experience in dealing with somebody else or with Rhonda. Those are my challenges to each of you. Hey, I hope this was a good webinar for all of you. Thank you for the time today. I hope you picked up a couple of new things you can do to increase your business. Let's make 2025 the year of 86 referrals. Thank you. And I'm going to save all your notes and your stupid goals. I love that. I love your stupid goals. Let's go get them together. Thanks, everybody. I'll talk to y'all soon.